You know that feeling when a Nintendo game just seems to have that extra spark of, well, magic.
Yeah, definitely.
Today, we're kind of pulling back the curtain on something that might be powering more of that magic than you realize. Artificial intelligence.
Right. And that leads us straight into, what we might expect from the Nintendo Switch 2.
Exactly. So we're looking at an article today that really digs into how Nintendo's actually using AI right now. And it gives us a pretty clear look at the Switch 2's potential features.
Yeah, it's a good one. Our mission today really is to cut through some of the noise. We want to understand how AI fits into Nintendo's world and get a solid picture of what this new console actually means for you.
Okay, let's jump into AI at Nintendo then. Because when you hear I think a lot of people imagine, I don't know, sci-fi stuff, robots taking over.
Right, sentient plumbers or something.
Huh, yeah. But what's happening at Nintendo sounds different. More like AI is like a helpful assistant for the developers.
That's a really good way to put it. The article stresses that Nintendo's core philosophy, that human touch you feel in Mario or Zelda, that's not going anywhere.
Okay, yeah.
They're not asking AI to come up with the next big game idea. It's more about using AI as a tool, like a really advanced toolkit, to help their human developers do their jobs better.
So helping them focus on the creative parts.
Exactly. Maybe handling some of the, let's say, boring or repetitive stuff. Imagine AI helping generate basic environment layouts, or maybe handling some predictable NPC behaviors.
Stuff that takes time but isn't, like the core creative spark.
Precisely. So the developers, the human designers, can spend their energy on the really crucial things. The gameplay mechanics, the story, the level design that makes you go, wow.
That makes a ton of sense, like an assistant handling the prep work so the chef can focus on the cooking.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
The article also mentioned AI making games look better.
Yeah.
This is where DLSS comes in, isn't it?
It is. DLSS Deep Learning Super Sampling. It's an NVIDIA tech, and it's pretty clever stuff.
Okay, break it down for us. How does it work, basically?
Well, essentially, it lets the console render the game at a lower resolution internally, which takes less processing power, right?
Okay, less demanding.
And then the AI intelligently scales that image up to your screen's resolution,
Yeah.
making it look sharp and detailed. It's kind of like, imagine taking a slightly blurry photo and having AI instantly sharpen it up for you.
Okay, so you get the visual quality or something close to it, but it runs smoother because it wasn't working quite as hard initially.
You got it. Smoother performance, better visuals, without needing a monster chip. It's about efficiency.
Cool. And the third thing was smarter game worlds, making them feel more alive.
Yeah, but again, it's subtle. Nintendo's worlds are still very deliberately designed by people.
Right, not AI-generated landscapes.
Definitely not. But AI can help add layers. Maybe NPCs react a bit more naturally to what you do. Or the placement of things like grass or rocks feels more organic, less repetitive.
Little details that add up to make it feel more believable.
Exactly. And the article mentions a really practical use too. Lip syncing. Automatically matching characters' mouths to dialogue in different languages.
Oh, that's huge for localization. Saves a ton of animation work, I bet.
For sure. It's a small thing you might not notice consciously, but it adds to the polish.
Okay, so the big picture on AI at Nintendo, it's a tool. A powerful one, maybe, but it's there to help the humans, not replace them.
That seems to be the core message, yeah.
Yeah.
Enhancing creativity, streamlining work.
All right, let's shift gears then. The Nintendo Switch 2, everyone's waiting for this. The article paints it as a pretty big upgrade. Let's start with the screen. What are we hearing?
Okay, so the screen sounds like a definite step up. We're talking potentially 7.9 inches, so noticeably bigger than the current ones.
Okay, bigger. And resolution. Still 720p handheld.
Rumors say 1080p, actually. Full HD resolution, even when you're not docked.
Wow, okay, that's a jump.
And maybe, just maybe, up to 120 hertz refresh rate?
120 hertz handheld. Seriously.
That's the rumor. Plus HDR support. So think sharper, more vibrant, much smoother visuals for you on the go.
That's like a massive improvement for the visual experience. What about under the hood? The power.
Yeah, that's the other big piece. A new custom NVIDIA chip. We mentioned DLSS already.
Right, for the smarter graphics.
And potentially ray tracing capabilities too.
Ray tracing. On a Nintendo handheld. What does that mean for games, practically?
Well, ray tracing simulates light much more realistically. Think better reflections, more natural shadows. Just overall more realistic and immersive lighting in the game worlds.
So games won't suddenly look photorealistic like on a PS5, maybe,
Hmm.
but the lighting and stuff will be way better.
Exactly. Nintendo will keep its art styles, but the tech underneath allows for graphics that are, closer to other modern consoles, more depth, more realism in how things look.
Better graphics, smoother gameplay.
That sounds good.
The article also mentioned faster loading and more storage.
Yeah, it seems like a significant boost there too. Faster loading times are almost guaranteed with the new chip and potentially faster storage tech.
Thank goodness. Some Switch loading times can be painful.
Tell me about it. And the internal storage is rumored to jump to 256 GB.
Okay, that's way better than the 32 or 64 GB we started with. You might actually be able to install a few big games.
Right. Less reliance on buying a micro SD card right away, although you probably still will eventually.
Speaking of add-ons, the Joy-Cons are changing too. I heard something about magnets.
Yeah, this is interesting. The rumor is they'll attach magnetically instead of the current rail system.
More secure maybe. Easier.
Potentially both.
Yeah.
And there are reports about improved build quality, maybe better analog sticks, less drift,
Well,
hopefully.
please let that be true. And what's this about mouse functionality?
That one's a bit weird, right? Apparently, the Joy-Cons might have some kind of mouse-like pointing capability.
How would that even work?
Yeah.
Gyro.
Maybe. It sounds a bit niche. Could be useful for menus or maybe specific game types, but probably not for playing Mario Kart.
Yeah, hard to imagine. There was also mention of a new button.
A dedicated C button, supposedly linked to a new game chat feature. So, easier voice chat finally.
About time. That's been a big ask from players.
Definitely. Seems like they're addressing some long-standing requests.
And even little things like the kickstand.
Yeah, supposedly a wider, more adjustable kickstand, like the one on the OLED model, but maybe even better. Much more stable for tabletop play.
Okay, that's a welcome tweak. And an extra USB-C port.
That's the report. More flexibility for charging, accessories.
And better sound, too.
Improved audio quality is also mentioned, just making that handheld experience more immersive all around.
Okay, so lots of potential good stuff. But no launch is perfect. What about the downsides or things that might disappoint people? The screen isn't OLED, right?
Right, that's a big one for some. The rumors point to LCD at launch, a good LCD probably, with that 1080p and high refresh rate.
But not OLED's perfect blacks and contrasts.
Exactly. So people who love the OLED Switch screen might be a bit let down. Maybe they'll do an OLED version later, like they did before.
Could be. What about battery life? More power usually means.
More battery drain. Yeah, that's the trade-off. Even if they put a bigger battery in, that new chip and brighter screen will consume more power.
So we might end up with similar battery life to what we have now, especially in demanding games.
It's quite possible. Maybe slightly better, maybe about the same. Don't expect a massive leap in battery hours, probably.
Okay, managing expectations there.
Mm-hmm.
And the storage. We need new memory cards for the best speeds.
Ah, yes. To really get the benefit of faster loading on big games, you'll likely need these newer, faster micro SD Express cards.
Which will cost more than the standard ones we use now.
Probably, yeah. So that's another potential cost for you to factor in if you want the absolute best performance.
And that mouse mode. Maybe just a gimmick.
It could be. It's hard to say without trying it, but yeah, it might not be something most people use regularly. It might feel a bit awkward.
And the elephant in the room. Game prices.
Yeah, the article mentions that new big Switch 2 games, they used examples like Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, are likely going to be in the $70, maybe even $80 range.
Oof. Following the trend of PS5 and Xbox then.
Seems like it. And accessories might cost more too, so getting into the Switch 2 ecosystem might be a bit pricier overall.
Okay, let's try and summarize the Switch 2 picture then. The definite best bits seem to be.
The screen, for sure. Bigger, sharper, smoother, and the increased power, better graphics, faster loading, DLSS, ray tracing potential. Those are the big technical leaps.
And the new magnetic Joy-Cons sound pretty cool too, assuming they fix the drift.
Yeah, the hardwood upgrades seem solid.
And the not so good or areas to watch?
Primarily no OLED screen at launch, which will disappoint some. Battery life might not be a huge improvement.
Right. And needing those faster, probably pricier microSD Express cards for top speeds.
And of course, the higher price for new games and potentially accessories, that's going to hit the wallet.
Got it. So overall, the article suggests it's a solid evolution, focusing on tech upgrades, getting some new features, but maybe costing us a bit more.
That sums it up well. It feels like Nintendo's sticking to their gameplay focus, but giving developers much more power to work with, and keeping AI in that helpful background role we talked about. Human creativity is still king.
Okay, so we've really dug into how AI is working behind the scenes at Nintendo, not taking over, but helping out.
Yeah, enhancing things, making development smoother.
And we've got a much clearer idea of the Switch 2, the upgrades, the potential downsides, even those interesting little details like the magnetic Joy-Cons or, oh yeah, the article mentioned GameCube games possibly coming to Nintendo Switch Online for Switch 2 owners.
That was another intriguing tidbit. Yeah, a nice potential bonus for subscribers with the new hardware.
So lots to look forward to, but also things to keep in mind, like cost and battery. We've covered how AI helps developers, makes things look better with DLSS, creates slightly richer worlds.
All while letting the human designers do the really important creative work. And the Switch 2 itself looks like a really thoughtful upgrade, better screen, more power, refined design.
So thinking about all this, the hardware jumps, the way AI is being used, here's something to chew on for you, listening. What kind of completely new gameplay experiences could this enable?
Good question.
With this blend of more power, smarter tools like AI helping behind the scenes, but still that core Nintendo creativity,
hmm
what could they do now that just wasn't possible before? What does this mix mean for the future games you'll get to play?
That's the exciting part, isn't it? Seeing how developers actually use these new possibilities. It
Yeah,
really opens the door for potentially more complex, dynamic, maybe even surprising game worlds and interactions. It'll be fascinating to watch.
absolutely. Well, that wraps up our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And definitely stay tuned for more explorations into the tech and ideas shaping the worlds you love to play in.